Hey, my name's Mark Campbell. Welcome to the Peculiar Ones podcast. If you're listening on iTunes or the Patreon page, or maybe you're watching on YouTube, I'm so glad you're with us. Today we have a fascinating young man, Nick Hart. He is a ball of passion, a ball of wisdom, a ball of intellect, creativity, and I just know you're gonna enjoy him. Do me a favor, if you like it, please like us on our pages, follow us, subscribe, do what you gotta do to be part of the tribe. And don't forget to follow us on Instagram, The Tribe Away. Just be part of the movement that's happening, embracing the fact that we are created as masterpieces for great moments that were prepared for us to walk into and to enjoy before time began. Part one of a two-parter with my friend and your new friend, Nick Hart. Hey, welcome to the Peculiar Ones. The Peculiar Ones is a podcast we're just brand new doing. And today I'm so privileged to be sitting with a brother I'm just getting to know, Mr. Nick Hart. Good morning.
Good morning.
Here we are on the coast in the morning in terrible lighting, I know that, but our shed where you were at yesterday is like 10 degrees inside of it.
Right, it was chilly there yesterday, just turning a wrench.
Yep, and I don't have a heater yet for my little office. So I got to do it here on the bad lighting. And
it looked cool.
It was cool.
This is not a bad setting.
No.
This does not suck.
It's hard to get anything done here, though, because there's so much to always look at.
I get that.
Yeah.
I get that.
So,
I'd have to double up on my meds every morning. The doc would be like, you're going through these kind of fast. So I was like, well, let's see what my office is distracting. It's always changing.
For everybody's sake, you're talking about the ADD meds.
Yeah. ADD meds.
You've had ADD your whole life.
Yep.
And you've been diagnosed how long?
Oh, since I'm 38, since like third grade.
They knew something was going down.
Yeah. And and my mom and dad were like anti med.
Yep.
Because of whatever, own self-medicating early
camps.
on.
Sure.
Yeah. And we're like, the only meds at that time were like childhood speeds. So they were like, we're just not going to go that route.
Right.
This is who God created you to be, and So my mom I always grew up with like these like little catchphrases like, put on the blinders. You're a racehorse. The racehorses need the blinders. So I was like, grew up, 25 years worth of coping mechanisms.
Right.
And then got married and then started, I wonder if the things that I'm really good at, I could be even better at if I didn't have to work so hard, just straining my brain.
Right.
So, I was 25 when I started to get medicated.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that helped you?
Oh my gosh, tremendously.
Focus.
Yeah. I met with my doc and he was like, what's the dream? I was like, the dream would be, I don't want to feel like I'm on anything.
Yeah.
And I want to be me.
Yeah.
But I want my brain to work.
Right.
In the way that it's supposed to work.
Right.
So that was the dream. And it took a little while to get there, kind of figured out some different formulas and whatnot.
Sure.
But yeah.
Sure. And so now you, I really, every time I get together with you, I get encouraged by you, and I learn a few things.
Awesome,
Sincerely.
thanks.
A couple quotes. We should have had the thing running before we went. I mean, you've lived for 38, you say you're 38?
Yeah.
A lot of life in 38 years. Did you ever go to college?
Yeah.
What college?
William Jessup University.
So you went there without meds, ADD, you're
No
highly
meds.
distractible.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
My saving grace, though, was... So I went to it was a small private school in San Jose. My school was called San Jose Christian College.
I remember. I spoke there a couple times.
And
then they moved.
Yeah. And it was like a nothing college in San Jose. It was like in the middle of the neighborhood.
Yep.
It was not a college experience.
Right.
And I was going to school full time, but also working full time at this church. And was a youth pastor. And that was my saving grace. Because I wasn't going to school to become a youth pastor.
You already were.
I was already a youth pastor, and I was going to school. I was able to immediately apply.
Yeah.
If I didn't have that,
yeah,
school would have been
just
a wash.
academic.
It would have just been...
Yeah. Movement.
Yeah.
Gathering information.
And who knows if it would have even stuck because...
You're not applying it.
Yeah. I've always been kind of real time, In spite of being ADD, like being fully present is really important.
Yep. Really.
You know what I mean? You can be other places, but like life works better when you're
Present.
more present.
Yeah, especially, and marriage does too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
For sure. And you have 4 kids now.
Yeah, we have 4.
Yeah. How old?
My son Cade is 10, Miley is 7, Brooklyn is 5, and Maverick is 3.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been married to my wife, Lindsay, for almost 15 years.
Wow.
She's the best.
She's amazing. Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, she's incredible.
Yeah. And you were raised where?
In the East Bay. I was raised in Pleasanton.
Okay.
Yeah, I went to school in Pleasanton, graduated in 99, lived in the East Bay, Tri-Valley area till we got married.
Wow.
Yeah, in 2005.
And you moved here, Santa Cruz.
Then we moved to Texas.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Oof.
My wife and I lived in Austin for about 3 years, and that was cool. And then we got to move back home.
Right.
And we were just so thankful.
Right.
And I worked at a bike shop for a couple of years and did some like conference and camp speaking and got to speak at churches and didn't have any like real day-to-day responsibility,
right,
which was fantastic.
Right.
And got to work at an awesome bike shop.
Yep.
Learn a trade, hang out with great people,
yep,
make some like lifelong friendships.
Yep.
And yeah.
And then you moved here and you did a bike thing where you served people with bicycles.
Yeah. And then we moved here end of 2000. No, it was like 2011. So
yep,
we've been here 9 years.
Yeah. And you were rolling around just fixing bikes for people.
So it's funny because I came out here, this church called Faith Community Church, fantastic church. We'd been praying. My wife and I prayed, and we were like, God, what if there was a church that wasn't about itself? Like, what if what if there was a church?
What if there was such a thing?
Yeah. What if there's a church that was about like adding value to not even their own gig?
Yeah.
You know, a church that was like, instead of asking, hey, God, we got this great idea, would you bless it? Like, what if there was a church that was like, God, what are you blessing, and how can we be a part of it?
Right.
I didn't even know if that was even a thing. I didn't know if like that question was like God stirring in us, like, hey, you're asking this question because I want you to start that kind of church. And then I met this dude, Andy Lewis, and loved this dude, and we started talking. And it was kind of love at first sight. Like I just loved his heart, and he had mentioned in passing, man, if I would love to hire somebody like you, if we had the funds, it would be a slam dunk or something like that.
Right.
And at the time, a couple of other churches and organizations were pursuing my wife and I, and wanted to hire us, offer some nice packages, and whatnot. And it just had no peace in it whatsoever.
Right.
And so we're kind of haunted by this conversation we had with Andy, and we're like, hey, what if we raised our support? So like we moved here as missionaries to start this youth ministry at this church. And the most hilarious thing was coming here to this church and had no youth.
Nothing.
No families with youth. So, and I'm like, come from the mega church background, right?
Yeah.
And so none of the old tricks were ever going to work here.
Right.
And Andy's like, words to me were like, hey man, your job description the first 6 months is to literally listen and observe.
Yeah.
So if that means you riding your bike around and like just talking to anybody and everybody, that's what you do for the first 6 months.
Yeah.
That's what you do. So it was so hard and so painful because I felt like such a fraud.
Yeah.
I'm riding my bike around in this beautiful place.
Yeah.
I'm getting paid for it.
Right.
I've got nothing to,
You're not producing.
I'm not producing anything. It was driving me mad. And I was so frustrated, and this opportunity presented itself. And it's crazy because I had this dream like 6 months before we moved here of working on homeless people's bikes. And I was like, well, I'm a bicycle mechanic, and there's a lot of homeless people in Santa Cruz. There's a lot of bikes in Santa Cruz. It'd be cool to like work on homeless people's bikes. So that's what I started doing.
Right.
I just like show up to these like homeless gatherings with my bike stand. They would call it the mobile stripper pole.
That's what they call it.
Yeah. And then they gave me the term of endearment. They call me the bike doctor.
Oh, that's good.
And they try and pay me with drugs and stuff. And I was like, you know what? Thank you so much. I'll pass though. I know that's near and dear to your heart. So it was like, it was like the lady who had nothing was like giving, Jesus a penny kind of thing. That's all they had.
Yeah.
So
some math or something here.
Yeah.
Wow. But you were the bike doctor.
I was the bike doctor.
With the bike pole.
With the bike pole and all my tools. And it was fantastic because the shop that I used to work at, Livermore Cyclery in Dublin.
I bought a bike from those guys.
It's a great shop.
Great shop.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing family.
Yep.
And so I told the shop this, and they're not believers. None of them are like,
just doing life, trying to help people.
But I loved getting to work there. They loved getting to work with me. I remember getting the job there. It was I came in. I was in like all Lycra because I was riding road bikes and triathlon and stuff. So I was in the full.
Yeah.
Like douchebaggery get up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it was fully, I was that guy where you'd be like, look at this freaking guy. So I go into the shop and then
all the equipment.
I go into the shop and I'm like, hey man, I love people and I like bikes and I'm a fast learner and love to work here. And somebody behind the counter knew me and a week later I got a call back, got the job. So I worked there, learned a bunch. Moved to Santa Cruz. Told them, I was like, hey, I had this dream. Moving to Santa Cruz. I want to work on homeless people's bikes. Any way you guys can help me out? To this day, I still have cable and housing, tools, things that they gave like 8-9 years ago. And I've worked on well over 1,500 bicycles.
Right.
In the past like 9 years.
Didn't they give you a trailer or something too? A little Wells?
No, we didn't have it.
Didn't have your van?
Yeah, I just had it in my SUV or whatever I had at the time.
Okay.
But like
they set you up.
Set me up. It was amazing.
Yeah.
And we'd just show up, work on people's bikes, get in conversations with people. Why are you doing this? And the whole time I'm like, I moved here to start a youth ministry. Why am I hanging out with a bunch of homeless people? Like, what's the deal? But I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it was fantastic.
You were serving people.
Yeah.
Yeah. And using your skill. See, that's, to me, the definition of peculiar is doing something different from the usual. That's the Webster's dictionary term on peculiar. And see, that's really peculiar. And what we're doing is trying to figure out so we can learn. And because I think we're all created as masterpieces, individually different, to step into some wild moments and some beautiful moments that he's created for us, the creator, before time began. And you're doing that. And that path looked peculiar and continued to be peculiar and is to this day. Now you're running something called Flow Ministry. What's that all about?
Yeah, Flow has been a dream.
Another dream
for a really long time. Going back to college, I had to do this like senior thesis. I got a C- maybe on the research paper part, but I got like an A+ in the presentation.
Okay.
It was all passion, no facts. just pure heart, like let's give the guy an A for effort kind of thing. And
no facts.
No facts, man. Like they wanted like, demographics and like if you were gonna do it in this part of town, like what's the socioeconomic stats and whatnot. I had none of those facts.
No.
No. But the dream was this like safe space after school program, this like club atmosphere drop in. Kind of if you were to take Rob Dyrdek's Fantasy Factory.
Okay.
And Sylvan Learning Center.
Sure.
And then the church, and then like smash them together.
Yep.
Like that was kind of the
what you saw
inner workings of like the dream.
Right.
And I got to kind of prototype that at Faith Community Church.
Okay.
Because you got this church with no youth.
Right.
No families with youth.
No culture, no youth culture in their DNA.
But we're faithful in praying for somebody to champion a youth ministry. And so I got hired. And this opportunity presents itself to start this Christian club at a public school in Santa Cruz.
Ah.
I had no desire to start a Christian club,
Right.
but I did have a desire to get onto campus.
Yeah.
And so I pitched this idea to this like Bible, I don't know, academy or something.
Yep.
It was bizarre that it was even in Santa Cruz.
Right.
And I said, hey, what if we don't do the Bible club thing? Because quite frankly, who's going to go to that?
Right.
And and I'm not interested in leading anything like that.
Yeah.
And so, but what if this other idea? What if we just host a safe space after school program, a fun spot inside the school right after school on Thursdays or whatever? And they took it. They were like, sure, let's do that. I was like, we'll staff with like, well, good leaders, safe leaders, everybody will be background checked and whatnot, and we'll just have like a fun place to be. And that seriously was the start of Flow.
Mm-hmm.
Just this fun thing after school.
So you start meeting kids that don't really have much to do after school.
Right.
Right.
And that's what we were going for.
Right.
We weren't going for like the already busy kid to try to like get him
Sure.
to do something else.
Sure.
It was like the kid who had nothing to do.
Right.
The kid who was going to take the long way home because they got nothing to do.
Right.
You know what I
Right.
mean?
Right.
So we started doing that and started hosting these after school things, and then outgrew the cafeteria at the school.
Wow.
School was like, can't have.
Outgrew what, like 50 kids? Huh?
Well, we would have pizza.
Okay.
Right? Free pizza.
Sure.
And the bell would ring, and on Thursdays, half the school would just bum rush the cafeteria. And it was madness.
Yeah,
it was
yeah.
insane. And we had no like boundaries conversation with the staff. It was kind of like we don't really know what to do with you.
Yeah, but we trust you.
We kinda.
Yeah.
They kinda trusted us. They
Yeah.
really didn't. The right hand didn't know what the left hand was doing, kind of thing.
Right.
So every week was a surprise to them, and they were surprised at how like quickly this was catching on. And by the end of the year, they were like, "Look, we're not going to be able to host you for the second year. It's just too crazy."
Yeah.
And it was like, "Oh yeah, we understood." So we had a little spot around the corner, like less than a quarter mile from the school, and that was where our studio was. Our church's like office. It was like right on Seabright, next to the Rio Theater.
Right.
It was awesome.
Right.
And so we got creative, and just like instead of doing wild and crazy games, we kind of did more like, funny upfront games and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Creative, added some art,
Yeah.
but mind you, we went from like this big cafeteria to like a small studio.
Right.
It was real artsy looking, looked
Right.
cool, but it was
Right.
super small for a bunch of middle schoolers to come and be.
Right. Oh, these
hanging
are
out
middle
at.
school kids.
These are middle school kids.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So when you say up front, you're talking about that's interaction. That's human interaction.
Oh, yeah.
That's not just gather kids and feed them and say we did something great. You're really meeting these kids where they're living and
Absolutely.
loving them.
I have had
No agenda.
I would have absolutely no agenda.
Yeah.
Just
Loving people.
just loving people.
Yeah.
Loving kids.
That
meeting
had nothing
them.
to do.
Yeah.
No family structure, maybe some of them.
Some.
Yeah.
But those are the rare ones.
Yeah.
Honestly, the kids that come from intact families are like unicorns. They're like social unicorns.
Right.
Because they come there and they got like kind of a head on their shoulders.
Yeah.
They're not looking around like they're all like a squirrely, feral kid.
Yeah.
There's this confidence.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
not a faux confidence, like a
Like a real calm.
like yeah.
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 Like they know who they are, even if they're 14. And nobody when they're 14 knows who they are.
Right,
At least
right.
they have an idea.
Right.
They got a
Right.
support system that's like,
Yeah.
hey, who you are, that's okay.
Yeah. But the other kids, the feral kids,
Squirrely.
yeah.
Looking for somebody to recognize them. Do you see me?
Right.
Middle schoolers are often like, do you like me?
Uh-huh.
Do you like me? And high schoolers are the, do I like you? That's where that's the kind of the big difference between middle school and high school students.
Right. That's so funny.
I wish that like we could stay perpetually in sixth grade mindset, because I love sixth graders.
Uh-huh.
They're that age between 11, 12, 13. It's such a free and funny age
Uh-huh.
of you kind of care, but you don't really, and you're just
Figuring it out.
Yeah.
And you're changing every hour.
Every hour.
Your focus, you're
Yeah.
You're open to stuff.
Yeah.
Still childlike.
You're not too cool
Yep.
most of the time.
Don't think you have it all figured out.
Right.
Right. Curious. Hey, You said a desire to get on campus.
Yeah.
What was that desire? I mean, you come from a good family.
Yeah.
So where did the compassion or the desire, do you think, drove that whole thing? I have a desire to meet kids, and especially a demographic of kids where people are running from, junior hires, you know, and you went, I want to be with those guys on their turf. Where do you think that came from?
It's hardwired into me, man. I'm 38, and that's still one of the only things I want to do. You know, as I get older, I want to invest in, you know, younger people who have a similar vision.
Right.
I want to do this for the long haul.
Right.
But it's just been hardwired in me. It's something that was like a primal imprint in me when I was in 6th and 7th grade. Somebody older gave a rip about me.
Yep.
And that left a lasting impression.
Yeah. Who was that person, or what?
That person was Jaron Murray.
You know that person?
Yeah.
Teacher?
He was my youth leader.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he just saw you and
he saw me and loved me. Yeah. And was an awesome dude, and like spoke life into me, and wasn't just like hey, whatever, you know, whatever choice you're going to make, I'm going to give a thumbs up to. Like, he wasn't all approving.
Right.
He was always accepting, but he wasn't like all approving.
That's a great way to say that.
He was like, which is honestly a lot like God.
Yeah.
Like, God is always accepting, but he doesn't have to be approving.
Right.
I'm a dad.
Yeah.
I accept my kids.
Yep. Love
all
them.
day long.
Yeah.
And our you know, even our flow kids. And we work with some gnarly kids.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Kids who have, you know.
And those are high schoolers.
Yeah. High schoolers, middle schoolers.
Yeah.
I mean, we meet, the age and the type of kid that we meet are your all-star soccer player to your super talented trampoline jumper kid that's got 1 million followers on YouTube, to a kid who's probably never going to see the light of day again because he's locked up for the rest of his life.
Right. In juvie or
Yeah.
done some stuff. And you meet all these kids.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then it moves from the Midtown
Yep.
to Soquel.
Yeah, moved to Midtown and we kind of prototyped this.
Yeah. That's
So
the prototype.
this whole dream was to what would a youth ministry look like that didn't meet in the evening? It just met right after school, meeting that immediate need of immediate connection.
Yep.
Something for these kids right away.
Right now.
So instead of it being let's get the word out that we're starting this youth ministry and it's going to start at 7 and your parents are going to need to drop you off, we're going to operate from let's start at 3 when they get out and let's go till 5 or 6 and just host them, whether their parents show up here or not.
Right.
And we did that for quite some time. And in the middle of that, I kind of started shooting on myself. You know, and what I mean by that is like, I'm in lots of conversations with people, and I would never should on them. Like, you should just get over this. You should just do this, or you should, you know, blah, blah, blah. If people are asking for advice, it's one thing. You know, there's an open door there. But never am I shoulding on these folks. And yet, how often do I should on myself? I should probably think about planting a church now. I've been a youth pastor for a really long time. I'm probably timing out. I should think about getting out and doing something else.
Something mature, something longevity.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sustainability.
And the more and more that I started leaning into that and, you know, and praying and like asking God, I just felt like I'm not done being a youth pastor. And God, I don't think you're done me being a youth pastor. So I want to do this for however long you're going to let me. And instead of planting a church, which is what I kind of felt like was next, I knew something was stirring, like starting something, but I didn't know what it was. Instead of planting a church, thought, let's plant this youth mission. Let's plant this official nonprofit that acts as like this hub, this neutral territory where all different types of churches could help out at, add value to, meet kids at, and let's do that. Let's create this space where we can empower youth and create belonging.
Still connected to the school system.
Still connected to the schools, still connected to the churches.
Yep. So a hub. It's a great word.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then in it was August of 2017, my buddy Danny Bennett and Joe Gruber, lead pastor and campus pastor at Hope Church here in Santa Cruz, approached him. We're like, look, man, we love what you're doing. We don't have the bandwidth to do it ourselves, but you're doing it. We have a space. Do you want it? It's a blank wall. Do whatever you want with it. And little backstory, I was praying for $2.5 million. Mm-hmm. Hey, God, I would love somebody to just drop $2.5 million on our lap. Let's build something sick. And my wife's like, no, I'm praying for somebody to give us a free space. And that's exactly what happened.
That's a great story.
It's funny because it's what happened. And so we get the space for free. If you know anything about Santa Cruz real estate, like bro deal would have been $10,000 a month, man.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And so this small church, another church that's just not about itself, wanted to add value to whatever God's doing, reached out and like this would be a full-blown partnership. Didn't just give us a space, then was like, because they're Foursquare, and Foursquare Foursquare is this denomination, right? And they have the sickest insurance policy of all time.
So you could hurt these kids.
I've been a youth pastor for 20 years.
Yeah.
And in 20 years, have been jealous of any of my like fellow youth pastors who happen to be Foursquare, because I know they can do the sickest stuff.
Yeah.
Because they've got this gigantic insurance policy.
Right.
So yeah, we can.
So you're building dirt bike ramp. You're
we've
go-kart
got
racing.
We've got a pump track up at the top of the hill that used to just be this hill just to like hide out and get weird.
Yeah.
We nuke the top of it, put a pump track up in there.
Pump track's BMX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
BMX and
a real track. I mean, it's sick.
Yeah,
it's not lame.
No, it's a really, really nice track. It's
Yeah.
a really nice track. Action Sports Construction built it. They're building pump tracks and BMX tracks all over the world, and they happen to be located in Aptos. And our buddy Alex was like, "Yeah, man, I'd love to build you something custom right up there. Perfect. And it's awesome. We got a mini ramp with a spine up in our top parking lot. We've got this 40-foot shipping container that we call our toy chest. It's full of toys, drift trikes and BMX bikes and portable skate ramps and skateboards and helmets and pads and
everything.
Everything's in there.
Yeah.
Everything's in there. You can go in there and you can check stuff out.
And now you're meeting kids after school twice a week?
Yeah, twice a week, Tuesdays and Thursdays.
And you're teaching them trades. Didn't you have like chefs in there? And
yeah, we've had cooks in the past. We used to do this thing where we would bring in small business owners the first Tuesday of the month. This is back when we were in Midtown. And they would share their story, share their trade.
Yep.
So like I'd have my, tattoo buddies come in, and they obviously, kids be like, "We're going to get tattooed." No, you're not going to get tattooed, but a real tattooer is going to come in here, and they're not going to be a jerk to you.
Yeah.
And they're going to teach you how to like draw an anatomically correct skull.
Yeah.
They're going to like teach you perspective and this and that.
Right.
And like, how to study art. Super cool stuff.
Super cool.
Right? Like what middle schooler gets that opportunity?
Right.
And, I just love exposing kids
to stuff.
To just, different unique things.
Yeah. Car guys, mechanics.
We had this thing called Flow Motor Day where my buddy brought in his Datsun 510 with a S2000 Honda motor in it. He calls it the Hondatsun. My buddy Matt Anderson. It's a sick little track car. He brought it in. We had the driving simulator out there. And he just popped the hood and stood by it and let kids rev it, sit in his racing seat, pull off his steering wheel.
Just play with
Talk
it.
about the process of
Yeah.
building a car
Yeah.
and like how it kept him out of trouble.
What decision-making skills these kids are learning, perspectives, and without telling them you need to learn this, just exposing them to stuff.
Totally.
And so now you're in, so that leads to now you're in juvenile hall?
Yep.
We're doing what? Teaching what?
We started a program where we're BMX and skateboarding inside juvenile hall.
Uh-huh.
It's amazing. And the teaching kids, or not teaching kids because they already know how to skate and they already know how to ride.
Right.
Although teaching a kid how to like double peg grind inside a jail, one of the coolest things ever of all time. And I've broken myself off in jail before. And
What's that mean? Broken yourself off?
Oh, like definitely gone into juvie way too confident and thinking, you know what? They got this little two-stair.
Yeah.
I'm going to 180 fakie out. And I've looped out numerous times and wasn't wearing a helmet that day. And by the grace of God, did not like
break your skull.
Break my skull inside juvie.
Yeah. But you were humbled.
Totally humbled.
Yeah.
Been humbled numerous times.
In juvie. Well, I know you were intrigued, challenged, and encouraged by many things Nick had to share in that part 1 of a 2-parter. Join us next week for part 2 and more wisdom, passion, and inspiration from my friend and your new friend, Nick Hart.